Posts. Now the legendary Curt Schilling is considering riding a Trumpian wave to the Senate in Red Sox Nation. I'll ask him how he plans to do that in one of the bluest states in the nation. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Lead. You're looking at live pictures out of Cleveland, Ohio, where Hillary Clinton is scheduled to speak at any moment in that key battleground state. This will be Hillary Clinton's first campaign event in a week. She had been doing debate prep. Let's bring in our political panel. We have with us today USA Today columnist Kirstin Pawers and Washington Post political correspondent Ann Gearan. Ann, thanks so much for joining us. Kirstin, you as well. Let me start with you, Ann. The Chamber of Commerce is running these ads that are kind of reminiscent of the ones that they ran and Republicans ran in 1996. When it looked like Bill Clinton was definitely going to win. Vote for the Republican senator or Senate candidate as a check. Are we going to see more of these ads?
Yes, I think New Hampshire is just the first state where they're likely to air those, and I actually anticipate that other groups will follow suit. I mean, it's a fairly obvious and simple argument to make. You can it's in a way sort of giving amnesty to not vote for Trump or just to be allowed to say that Trump is likely to lose, but that shouldn't stop Republicans from going to the polls and trying to save the Senate is the basic message of that ad, and they'll keep saying it.
Yeah. Do you think it might work? I mean, is that an effective pitch?
I think it might have been an effective pitch a little earlier. The problem is it's just a little late. I mean, Kelly Ayotte, I think, is down about 8 points or so. So this is going to be very hard to turn this around so quickly. And as you know, she's tried to kind of play this middle ground of like, I don't like Trump, but I'm endorsing him, but I won't endorse him. And this game that she's been playing, if she would have been the beginning, if this would have been the tack of saying we're going to be a check, it probably would have worked. I'd be surprised if they can turn it around that fast.
One other question I have about this is back in 1996, Bob Dole, who was a war hero and is a gentleman, he basically gave permission for the Republicans to do this because he loved the Senate and he loved the Republican Party and he wanted them to keep control. Donald Trump is not Bob Dole. For better or for worse. Well, you know what I mean? Like he might lash out is all I'm saying.
Absolutely, and that actually might be part of the explanation that this is coming late. I mean, there's a certain fear within the Republican Party and its supporters that they're going to have, in addition to the obvious fault lines that Trump has created, that they're going to have a real problem as they get closer to Election Day with Trump openly attacking not the party and individual candidates.
And not to mention the fact that he's saying that the election's rigged, that might suppress his own vote, Kirstin.
Yeah. Well, and also let's remember they did for a while look like he might win. So I think that was also part of, I mean, at least Republicans thought he might win at one point. And this was pre the tape coming out and all the women coming forward.
Yeah, before the first debate.
Yeah, so they're now having to scramble to kind of, and before the first debate where I think, things started to turn for her even before the tapes. So they are starting to scramble to try to deal with this. And then they have the problem of, after the election of trying to rebuild the GOP and making these people angry, right? So they're going to have to try to figure out how to move forward with a bunch of people who are already going to be angry, and then if the Republican Party has turned against Trump during the election, are going to be even more angry.
It's going to be really tough, especially for somebody like Speaker Paul Ryan. You probably heard in the piece. There's a lot of talk on Capitol Hill right now about Republicans being mad that Ryan has not been more supportive of Trump, and some are saying, and who knows how real it is, that his speakership is in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll probably be fine if they preserve a solid majority in the House, and particularly if the Republicans retain the Senate. Victory, even on those terms, looks good enough, probably that he retains the support of most of his colleagues, which he does appear to have. That he'll be fine. I think the Senate question is really up for grabs now. And
you think Democrats could maybe win 4 seats and take it back?
Yeah, I mean it's looking more likely, this week than last, and there's still 2.5 weeks to go.
And I guess one of the questions about where does the Republican Party go from here? How does the Republican Party rebuild, assuming that the polls are all right and they're going to have a really bad November 8th?
Well, I mean, that I think will be the big story for the next year at least, probably. And you have, the different approaches. So after the 2012 election, they basically said we need to be more moderate. We need to reach out to a changing demographic. Then you have another camp that says, no, we have to have a conservative, like a Ted Cruz. Well, Donald Trump is neither of those people. And so they have to sort of figure out, is there a third way that they're going to approach this? Because or are they going to go back to this idea of, well, if we just got a real conservative, and we ran a real conservative. And so I think that they're going to have they have a very hard road ahead of them because they're just not really built for this electorate.
All right, Kirsten, Ann, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Happy